and welcome back to a new video and also the start of the year. It has been a very long time since we vlogged. After Vlogmas I felt like we needed a bit of a break. So happy belated New Year. Hope everybody is having a good start of the year. So obviously got a new video today, and this really isn't the video that I wanted to be filming, if I'm honest. So I guess it's probably just best to jump straight in, share it, and then maybe put a bit of context around it. So I guess if you've clicked on this video, then yeah, we have a bit of a life update to share. If I just say it quickly, then it's out there then, and yeah, I can talk about it. So a couple of weeks before Christmas I had the definitive news that I have been diagnosed, is that the right word, with premature ovarian failure, aka early menopause. I'm 36 and it's just been a massive shock, to be honest. God, if I can get through this video without crying, that would be good. Obviously there was a build-up as to how we got the news and where it's kind of come from, so I'll try and maybe track back. That's probably like the easiest way to explain. So if you're new here or been following for a while, we're a blended family of 3. So between Pete and I, we have 3 children, and Oscar is now 10 and Sophie and Chloe are 20, so a big age gap. And after I had Oscar, always knew wanted more children, always wanted more, and it was just never really the right time. Like, I had quite a difficult birth with Oscar, and firstly, like, the trauma of that, if you will, was obviously something that took quite a long time to process. But then in between having Oscar and obviously now, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis in 2017, which is an autoimmune disease. It's bowel disease, and it took a long time to get that under control. Like, talking from the time I was diagnosed to feeling like it is in control was a period of about 4 years. So there was sort of a lot to contend with around that. In addition, I am the breadwinner of the home. Pete is a stay-at-home parent and has been since Oscar was born, so for 10 years. So I've always been very sort of career focused and been really looking at, you know, what's that next step, what do I need to do, what's my like professional development, how do I get there. So there's been a lot that's happened in 10 years basically, but always in the back of our minds was like, when are we having our probably our final baby? I think 4 kids would probably have been enough for us, but it's always been something in the back of our minds. But like I say, it was kind of never really felt like the right time, and it probably got to just before COVID. We're like, right, next year is the year, so that would have been 2019, 2020, that's going to be the year we are going to have our baby. And obviously I know it's not always that straightforward. You can't just like click your fingers and say, oh, you know, magic a baby, especially as I'm getting older and all the rest of it. I know that, but we always thought, you know, we'll start trying in 2020. And then COVID happened, and you know, watching parents having to go through that with social distancing and masks and not being able to go to appointments and stuff, God, it was hideous, wasn't it? So, you know, 2020 obviously took a bit of a back seat, and then I don't know, there was just lots of other things, but we were finally ready to say, right, this is it, we're gonna, and that kind of really is what has resulted in this. I'll go back a bit and add a bit more like colour to it, but yeah, last year and this year was really the time for that, was the plan. It's quite difficult to think about the timeline because obviously lots of stuff has been going on and I just didn't really make the connection, but I think it's probably fair to say that for the past 12-18 months there's been what I now know to be symptoms of this that I just didn't like join the dots on. So the first being horrific night sweats, like, and I'm not just talking like a bit of a sheen and like, oh, I'm a bit warm, as in literally there was occasions where I woke up thinking I'd actually like pissed the bed because I thought, what is this? Why am I in a puddle? Not being particularly warm, I always sleep with the window open, that kind of thing. So not really explainable, just thinking, oh god, what is that? That's really weird. So that was probably the biggest telltale sign. But like with everything, I blame my colitis, you know, because there's always weird and wacky things that you know, when you've got an autoimmune disease, there's always something. And when you Google, you know, good old Dr. Google, when you Google, like, could be a sign, could be a symptom, okay, fine. So I just kind of put it down to that. I didn't really think anything of it. And then in February of last year, when we were in Florida, I was on the contraceptive pill at that time, but I'd forgotten to get, one was going to run out and I'd forgotten to pack another one. So would have been guaranteed a period, but it was very weird and not usual for me. But again, I was like, oh well, you know, I'm busy, like, I don't know, what does being busy have to do with anything? I don't know. I just didn't really think much of it. And then obviously the year carried on. And then I just didn't have a period. Didn't have a period for months and months, and was like, okay, that seems very strange. And obviously that's when I started getting myself checked out. So this would have been in October of last year, October 2023, because I thought, well, that's not going to help having a baby, is it? So initially went to the doctor. They talked to me about symptoms and things, and the more this doctor talked to me about symptoms, and then obviously we did Google afterwards, so much was stacking. And I think the worst bit of it was the brain fog, because I'm usually quite a switched on person, like stuff, you know, there's a lot in there, and it's easy to pull out at times. But the latter half of last year, my god, I just felt like my head was just stuffed with cotton wool, because names, like people's names, like people I've known for years, hi, you, things like that. I felt like it was taking me until about 11:30 to switch on properly, but before all of that, just fuzzy, foggy. And then I just lost my train of thought. Yeah, there was just lots of weird things that just didn't make me feel like me anymore, and I was just feeling a little bit confused and just not myself. So went to this doctor, and they said, well, what we'd need to do is refer you to a gynecological doctor, so someone who specialises in this, and they'll talk to you about the symptoms. There'll be some blood tests that you have to do, and you have to do it repeating blood tests, because obviously your hormones can fluctuate anyway. So met this doctor, and she has actually been fantastic and has done things quite quickly, which has helped, I think, because it's best not to prolong this kind of stuff. So the first blood test came back and she was like, doesn't look good. Your blood levels, and they test lots of things. I've got it written down, but a lot of it is just so hazy because it was just such a difficult time that it's kind of gone a bit but whatever levels that they're checking were all out of whack, and she was like, doesn't look good, but we'll do another one and confirm. And then that's when I got the call. It was about, I think it was it a week or two before Christmas? And we had already discussed in the previous appointment like what we could do, what the options were, how to treat it, all the rest of it. So when she told me just before Christmas, it was a telephone call, and she said, we'll make an appointment really quickly after New Year so you can come in because we want to start treating you straight away. So with a premature menopause, I mean, naturally, I think menopause is supposed to kick in about 50, so 36, that is very early. But obviously there's a big risk to you personally and to your health, in particular things like osteoporosis, that they're really concerned about, with stuff being like leached out of your bones and things. So she wanted me in quite quickly to start treating it quite quickly, but obviously to help, I don't know, damage limitation. But also because I've then actually been having symptoms for over a year, there's basically maybe a whole year that this has been an issue without really knowing about it. So I met with her on the 2nd of January and talked me through all the options and things. Now obviously this was quite a big deal because of the fact that we wanted to have another baby, and there is only a 5% chance of naturally conceiving when you go through premature menopause. So she did talk to me about referral to fertility and things like that, but it's just not something I want to do. It's just not something I actually feel strong enough to do. I have known quite a lot of women over the years who have had to go to those lengths, and it's just awful. It's just a real difficult process, and you know, thankfully in most cases people get their baby at the end of it, but it's just not an option for me. I just don't want to go down that route. And also it's not like I am childless, so that was also a bit of a determining factor. I mean, if I was going through this and I wanted to have a child and I hadn't had one, then yeah, that would be a totally different scenario. But I think given, like I say, between us we've got 3, it feels like a very different position to be in, a more fortunate position, I think. But it's just not a route that I wanted to go down. So then it was obviously the conversation about, well, what medication can we put you on? So hormone replacement therapy, or HRT, there are lots and lots of different options and different things and ways to apply it and what works best for you. So given I haven't had a period for over a year, the medication that's been selected for me is one that then means you don't have bleeds. And as I kind of joked at the time, well, there has to be one upside to this, right? So let me show you what that is and I'll talk you through it. So I have gone for the gel option, and this one is estrogel. And then I've also got Utrogestin, so that's the estrogen replacement, and that's the progesterone replacement. That's a tablet, obviously that's a gel. And I have to say I was actually really quite anxious about it because I've, you know, obviously done some research, and what I came to understand was that it's almost quite similar to my colitis treatment, is that they'll start you on like the lowest of the low and try and get it in kilter with your body, but it's a bit of a journey to find the right things and dosage that works for you. And having done that with my colitis, like I say, it took about 4 years to get that under control, so the thought of just starting this journey from square one again is just not particularly palatable, so I was quite anxious about it. So I started with the gel, which you apply to your forearm, initially with 1 pump and then the tablet each night. And then after a couple of weeks I've now increased that to 2 pumps, 1 on each arm. And the first pump with the tablet seemed to be okay. In fact, actually, I have to say, pretty positive. I feel like the brain fog has cleared. I feel like I've had more energy, but maybe coincidence, but those hot flashes really came on with a vengeance, and it's so difficult to describe. The only way I can describe it is if I've got lava flowing through every single vein in my body. That is awful, that's horrible, and I'm, you know, peeling clothes off, like, but so the first couple of weeks seemed okay. I think now I've increased to the second pump. I'm feeling very nauseous, which is kind of putting me off my food a little bit, and if you know me, that is not like me. So I don't know, obviously keep going with it and see what's what. Hopefully that will just pass, but I've got a follow-up appointment, I think it's after 12 weeks, from the 2nd of Jan, where they then do another blood test, check your levels, and then work out if they need to play around with stuff. I've also floated the idea of the testosterone element, which they don't normally prescribe as a rule, but some of my symptoms I think would be helped with that from the research that I've done, so we'll see what happens in 12 weeks. But it's just so awful, because I think not being able to have another baby is one thing, and that has really been so difficult. Sorry. I think it's something like this when then everyone around you is popping up pregnant or having babies, and I'm so happy for them. So happy. But I feel sad at the same time, and I think that's just going to take a bit of time to get used to, I think. And it's just more like practical things, like we've been saving up for my maternity. Obviously I mentioned I'm the sole earner of the family, so being on maternity leave would be quite a big impact, so we've been saving, and you know, that was one element, but also we've been putting stuff aside for some time, so stuff that was Oscar's we've obviously kept hold of and adding to it, so we've just got like a house full of baby stuff that's not going to be used. Now at the moment I really don't feel like going through that and sorting it out. What I do want to do is just donate that to like a women's shelter. I don't, you know, people have said like, oh, you know, well, you could sell stuff. No, I've got visions of Facebook Marketplace and people kind of trying to haggle you down on stuff, and it's just, when it's not because you're clearing out space, it's because you're not going to use it. I just don't want to get into that, so we have to do that sort out at some point when I'm ready. And then obviously with the maternity part, I did what any sensible Disney adult would do, and clearly I've booked a trip because I need something to look forward to. So I'll talk about that at some other point, but for now I think it's just about getting ourselves sorted, going through this medication, hope that that makes the difference that I want it to make, and that I start feeling better. Because I think that's the other thing. It's obviously the baby thing to one side. The other thing is I feel so betrayed by my own body, and I'm angry about it. Now, when I've done research, there is a lot of research papers out there and a strong correlation between autoimmune disease and premature ovarian failure. But where I'm angry, and I don't know if I'm angry at myself or others around me, but that has never been mentioned with any of my colitis treatments, investigations. I was diagnosed in 2017, so that's a long time ago now. At no point has anybody ever said that that could be a thing. I'm of the view, and you know, talking to my mum with their life advice, that you make decisions at the time with the information that you got at the time, and it's the right decision at that time. So would it have made any difference? I don't know. But I am mad that I feel like we've lost an opportunity that nobody pre-warned me about. And the more I read about it, it's a very strong correlation actually. So I think that's, like I say, I'm annoyed almost at myself that I didn't ever pick up on that. But I also think I'm 36. This shouldn't be happening to me, and it's not nice. All the stuff that you have to deal with and things that come alongside it. I think I just feel sad. So yeah, not the video I wanted to be putting out this year. I actually really hoped it would be we're having a baby. And it feels a bit rubbish really, doesn't it? Like, our channel is always like, I know I've talked about bits of my health before, but you know, mainly I like to keep it quite fun, quite positive, quite upbeat, and just, you know, a bit of escapism. So sorry for being a bit of a Debbie Downer, but I think now that it's out there, I'm really hoping people can share with me any advice or tips that would be helpful. We have got things obviously to look forward to this year, so that would be nice to share at some point. But yeah, that's the video today. And hopefully next time you see me will be less of this and more of this. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon. Bye.